I'm grateful. That's fair enough.
The Speaker John Bercow trying to keep some kind of order in the Commons as MPs fought over Lord Ashcroft. But if you think some of that behaviour was a touch rude, it's a mere nothing as compared to the former UKIP leader and MEP Nigel Farage. Mr Farage, you may remember, got into a little trouble the other week for telling the President of the European Council, Herman Van Rompuy,
"You have the charisma of a damp rag and the appearance of a low-grade bank clerk."
He had the charisma of a damp rag and the appearance of a low-grade bank clerk. And who loves a banker these days? The outburst cost Mr Farage a fine of €3,000, or as I'm sure he'd rather have it, £2,700. But such feisty behaviour is somewhat unusual in the European Parliament, where debates are conducted in a more civilised, dare we say, dull atmosphere.
But I listened to his speech, and it was so boring, it was so dull, it was limp, it was lifeless, it was just so ghastly that that's where I suddenly thought, well, what I'm going to have to say is, sir, you have all the charisma of a damp rag.
But why is Westminster so different to Brussels? Aidan James looks at two very different parliamentary styles.
UKIP MEP Nigel Farage was less than contrite after being accused of insulting behaviour for comparing Herman Van Rompuy to a low-grade bank clerk.
I've been asked to apologise to Herman Van Rompuy. I've been asked to apologise to the European Parliament, and I've been asked to apologise to the people of Belgium. And I've had time to I had a short period of time to reflect, and I've decided that I will make an apology. But the only people I'm going to apologise to are bank clerks the world over. If I've offended them, I'm very sorry indeed.
Mr Farage is standing for a seat in the House of Commons at the next election. Perhaps he'll feel more at home amongst this.
It is completely fatuous. It is fatuous for the Foreign Secretary to ask me what the Prime Minister is going to answer in evidence to the Chilcot inquiry on Friday.
George Parker has covered both Westminster and the European Parliament for the Financial Times. I asked him why MEPs were so shocked by Mr Farage's tirade.
Well, I think the European Parliament just isn't used to any kind of particularly robust exchanges, and for someone to descend into what they would regard as personal insults, I think shocked them to the very core. I personally think that people like Nigel Farage enliven debates in the European Parliament. I know he's not to the taste of most parliamentarians, but I think you need a bit of grit in that place, because otherwise you end up with an assembly which is full of people with broadly the same views, sharing the same view of Europe, the view of the social model. And now Nigel Farage has brought a bit of excitement to the place.
Now, some people say that the European Parliament is dull. Is that the debating style or the members that make it so, do you think?
I think the kind of debates they have in the European Parliament can be rather technical. They can discuss things over which they have no power at all, which takes away some of the elements of drama. And of course, most European MEPs will find themselves re-elected because of where they are on party list at the next election, whereas in the House of Commons here, it's more of a blood sport. So I've covered the European Parliament and the House of Commons. This is British politics, or even domestic politics generally, are politics where people get hurt, they lose their jobs. It's a sort of very tense thing. The European Parliament can be rather anodyne, and I think a bit more excitement in debates is altogether a good thing.
Ultimately, do you think that the European Parliament has something to learn from Westminster, or do you think that there are lessons for Westminster from Brussels and Strasbourg?
Well, I think people in Strasbourg would look down their noses at this sort of what they might regard as a rather parochial, inward-looking parliament. And I think that the House of Commons is by no means perfect, that's true. But if you ask me as a journalist, what would I rather be covering? Well, of course, the House of Commons. Which format brings out the best in politicians, makes them most sure of their arguments, most convincing, most passionate? It's the House of Commons. So, given the choice, I go for this one.
Aidan James talking to George Parker of the Financial Times.
"You have the charisma of a damp rag and the appearance of a low-grade bank clerk." And the question that I want to ask, that we're all going to ask is, who are you? I'd never heard of you. Nobody in Europe had ever heard of you. I would like to ask you, President, who voted for you? And what mechanism? Oh, I know democracy is not popular with you lot. And what mechanism do the peoples of Europe have to remove you? Is this European democracy? Well, I sense, though, that you're competent and capable and dangerous. And I have no doubt that it's your intention to be the quiet assassin of European democracy and of the European nation states. You appear to have a loathing for the very concept of the existence of nation states, Perhaps that's because you come from Belgium, which of course is pretty much a non-country. But since you took over, we've seen Greece reduced to nothing more than a protectorate. Sir, you have no legitimacy in this job at all, and I can say with confidence that I can speak on behalf of the majority of the British people in saying we don't know you, we don't want you, and the sooner you're put out to grass, the better.